Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this Bank of Zambia broadcast. We are coming to you live from our headquarters in Lusaka. My name is Luanga Mwilu, and I will soon be introducing our guest for the morning. The Bank of Zambia has the exclusive mandate of issuing currency in the Republic of Zambia. And earlier this year, the bank introduced a new currency family, which many of you have come to know as the Heritage Series. That is our topic for the day. We are discussing currency, and in particular, the withdrawal of old banknotes from circulation. At this point, I'm delighted to introduce our guest, who is no other than Mr. Patrick Phiri, the manager for currency front office operations at the Bank of Zambia. Good morning, Patrick, and welcome.
Good morning, Luanga, and good morning to all viewers.
Great. So, currency is a topic that interests a lot of people, also raises a lot of concern, questions, interest. I also have my own questions. And the audience later will be asking questions. But before we even get into any of that, maybe you can help us understand what currency front office operations entail. What does a typical day look like?
Well, thank you very much once more, Luanga. Currency front office operations is part of the banking and currency department. What we do, basically, a typical day involves us looking at what the commercial banks are demanding in terms of cash withdrawals and what is coming in as deposits. Then we moderate what we pay out to commercial banks. So it's not like if a bank requests to withdraw 20 million in 500 kwacha banknotes, we are going to pay the 20 million as requested. We do moderate and alter denominations depending on our analysis of the statistics of what is in circulation at that particular moment. So you may find that sometimes commercial banks do complain that in most cases they would only want high value denominations to put in the ATMs, but they find that we're paying them coins. It's because we have seen that there's a deficit of a particular denomination. So we do moderate after analyzing our internal statistics of the total currency in circulation. So that's a typical day, a typical start to a day. Apart from that, we do all the forecasting for currency orders. We do the forecasting on weekly demand and forecasting for different periods during the year, like when we have the crop marketing season, for example, we know certain parts of the country, what they will demand. We do all those forecasts in the front office. And so we are the face of the bank in terms of interaction with commercial banks on a daily basis on cash matters.
Sounds so interesting indeed. So the Heritage Series was issued into circulation March 31, 2025. And just in case there's someone who has not really been following our updates, following our adverts, our sensitization, can you run us through maybe what the main reasons for the introduction of a new currency family were?
First of all, do you like the series?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good to hear. So if you like the series, I know there have been different sentiments coming out of the public, which is expected. We don't expect that whatever we do is perfect. We do our best to give the best, of course, to the nation at all times. So the reason why we went for the Heritage Series was to address a number of issues that we had observed in the previous series that we are currently phasing out. One of them is issue to do with security features. We needed to enhance security features by bringing in new technology into the banknote so that we can stay ahead of the people that try to counterfeit the currency. So that was one of the main reasons. We needed to modernize the technical and the other security features that are public, the V1 security features, which we we identify banknotes using our sensors. So we needed to enhance those, but at the same time, behind the scenes of the banknote, there are other security features, which we call level 2 security features. These are machine-readable features. We needed to modernize them to new technology so that we improve machine readability. The other reason why we went for this new series was, of course, to introduce higher value denominations. We noticed that the 100 kwacha was occupying almost 80% of the total currency in circulation in terms of value. So it meant that we needed a higher value denomination in circulation. So after our calculations, we came up with a 200 and a 500 kwacha banknote. These two banknotes reduce the cost of printing because they reduce on the volume of banknotes that we have to churn out to the public as they demand. So they have reduced the cost of printing and they have made transactions more efficient. On the lower end, we needed to introduce more durable substrate. We all saw what was happening to the 2 kwacha.
Tell us what substrate is.
Okay, sorry. We all know what was happening to the 2 kwacha and 5 kwacha in the old series. These notes would become like cloths, very dirty and mechanically very weak. So what did we do when what we call substrate is a paper on which the banknotes are printed. So that paper had to be enhanced for the now lower value denominations so that we don't fall into the trap that the 2 kwacha and the 5 kwacha in the previous series fell into. So we decided to enhance the paper that is used to print the 10 kwacha and the 10 kwacha and the 20 kwacha with a new type of paper, which is a combination of polymer and ordinary cotton-based paper. So what you see there, that's why those notes are heavier than the higher value notes. It's because the paper on which they're printed is actually some kind of a sandwich. There's a polymer film in the middle, and there's the outer layers made of paper. So in doing that, we are taking advantage of polymer being mechanically strong. It doesn't easily become weak. Then also taking advantage of the paper substrate, which has got very good ink absorption. So we don't want cases of these notes are fading. They can't fade because they're actually not printed on plastic, they're printed on paper. And last but not least, of course, we also wanted to change the note coin boundary. We noticed the high velocity in the 2 kwacha and the 5 kwacha. So the solution there was to change, again, I'll use the word substrate,
yes.
from the paper that they were on to the coins that you see now. So the coins are more durable, the coins will not become dirty, the coins will not become weak like the 2 kwacha and 5 kwacha were. So we believe now we've addressed that problem, and moving forward we should have a very fluid and easy to use currency. And of course we also needed to improve the general outlook of the banknotes themselves. Yeah.
Wow, thank you very much. I love the Heritage series, and I believe I'm not the only one. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, this is an interactive Bank of Zambia program, and we're coming to you from Lusaka. I'm in studio today with Mr. Patrick Phiri, who is Manager, Currency Front Office Operations, and we are discussing currency. So, Patrick, the rollout of the Heritage series was phased, and the 50 and 100 kwacha banknotes were finally issued into circulation on the 1st of September, marking the completion of the rollout. Tell us a bit about how the bank has gone about distributing this new currency family. And as you discuss that, maybe you can also address a concern that some people have raised about the seeming lack of availability of 2 kwacha and 5 kwacha coins in circulation. They say that they struggle with change because they do not quite see these two denominations.
Thank you, Lwanga. I've actually heard a song about the shortage of change, and I must say it was very interesting to listen to it. And as we said, we are here to work for the people, and we appreciate all the sentiments, because this is a message coming from the public. We cannot dispute it to say, no, there's a lot of change out there. There are a lot of 2 kwachas and 5 kwachas. But if they're not there, the public have the right to complain, to say there's a shortage of this and that denomination. The Bank of Zambia has a system of distributing currency countrywide. So countrywide, we've got our own depots around the provinces where we take the banknotes, and they're stored there for distribution to the banks in that region. So our distribution has gone very well for both the early released parts of the series that were done on 31st March 2025. We distributed to the entire country using various means, and we also, as of by the time September 1 came, the whole country had the delayed 100 kwacha and 50 kwacha that came were introduced on the 1st of September. So we have adequate stocks all over the country from where commercial banks can tap in to distribute the currency finally to their clients. What has happened with the 5 kwacha and 2 kwacha coin is that these have just been newly introduced. You can see that the complaints are not about the 1 kwacha and the 50 ngwe, because these have already been, they were in circulation already by the time we were introducing this family. So they were already out there. So now for the 2 coins that are new in the family, that is the 2 kwacha and the 5 kwacha, just bear with us. It will take a bit of time to have them fully integrated into the circulating family. The reason being, coin conveyancing is quite slow compared to banknote conveyancing, because banknotes are lighter. They can easily be moved from one area to another, so their velocity is very easy. But for coins, imagine just to get 5 kwacha coins, just one packet with 1,000 coins, I can hardly lift it. So you find the banks, the rate at which the banks are getting the coins from the Bank of Zambia to distribute to their clients is a bit slower than the rate at which they're getting the banknotes. So slowly with time, you will see that this will ease out, and we're going to have enough 5 kwachas and 2 kwachas in circulation. Suffice to also say that we are also making other efforts other than from the usual conduit of commercial banks to distribute this currency, especially the 2 coins. We have gone into partnership with NatSave, for example, where NatSave are able to get change coins from the Bank of Zambia into their widespread branch network. And people are free to walk into NatSave and get change as they may wish. Here in Lusaka, of course, we also have a partnership with ZICB, where every Thursday we open up at ZICB, we open up a booth where people can go and get change. The only problem here is that my advice to the public is, if you want to get change, this small denominations, the coins, they come in quantities of 1,000. So if you want to get 2 kwachas and you only have a 500 kwacha to change, then you go to a teller, even in a bank, it will be difficult for them to separate the 5, like maybe the 25 coins or whatever number that is the change that you require at that particular time. The best is, if you have 1-2 shops, you want 2 kwachas, put together 2,000 and just go and get a whole packet of 1,000 coins. Then you distribute amongst yourselves according to the value that you have put in. So the coins are readily available, and we are willing to distribute through this network of commercial banks and also through ZICB as here in Lusaka.
Very well explained. Thank you very much. So I was just listening as you were speaking, and the concern about the 2 kwachas and 5 kwachas, but I'm also aware that there have also been some other concerns that have been raised by some people. They've raised some reservations, for example, on the size of the 10 kwacha, the 20 kwacha, the change of 5 kwacha and the 2 kwacha into coins. Why are they no longer banknotes? What are the reasons behind some of these changes?
Yes, I've equally seen the jokes on your page about the 10 kwacha being very short. Yeah, it's understandable. Change is not easy, especially when you are used to a certain way of doing things for many years, then suddenly one note is shorter than the rest. And they are progressive in size. So the 10 kwacha is the shortest note, yes, in the series. Next to it is a 20 kwacha, which grows by 5 millimeters. And progressively, they grow by 5 millimeters up to the 500 kwacha. Mm-hmm. The reason for the change in sizes of the banknotes is mainly to do with identification, especially for the visually impaired. As much as we put the tactile marks on the short edges of the banknotes, we have also changed the sizes, varied the sizes of the notes so that we can aid identification by the visually impaired. They have their own way, and I must say, to come up with the entire series, we had to consult, and that's one of the recommendations that was given. To say, for those visually impaired that may not understand other things, they will be able to even use their palms to master the sizes of the notes. And they know that if a note comes up to the middle of my palm here, it's a 10 kwacha. If it goes slightly above, and they will understand that for the whole family. So as much as we are looking at our own convenience as people with sight, just understand that this series is all-encompassing. We made sure that we got the interests of all other interested parties to participate into the usage of these notes. And other than that, it's a world trend. Banknotes are getting smaller. So we can, everybody is talking about saving costs also. Making savings on government expenditure. So banknotes are printed from sheets. So one sheet, you find that we've been there in the printers' places where one sheet, another currency from another country, I won't mention countries here, but you find that they're coming out with 4,000 banknotes from one sheet. Then the Zambian kwacha, which has apparently even maybe less value than the other currency, is coming up with 1,700 banknotes from the same sheet. So, in fact, the reduction in size of the banknotes that was done was only done in the length of the banknote. They were actually, we were supposed to reduce even the height. So it would have been even smaller than that. But we knew that change has to be gradual. So that's why we've reduced the size of the banknote only in length by 5 millimeters, and progressively they increase in size as you go up. Then the other part of the question was to do with
why they've become coins.
Why they've become coins.
You touched on
I think I touched on it
bit,
earlier, that it's for durability and to clean up the mess that was there, that was created by the 2 kwacha and the 5 kwacha. These are very high velocity banknotes. They were very high velocity banknotes. You release the 2 kwacha today, before end of day, you come across the same 2 kwacha. It's like a different note altogether. It's gone through maybe 1,000 hands in a market, and it's battered already. So to reduce on costs of printing replacements, we thought it wise to come up with coinage so that the 2 kwacha and the 5 kwacha can be coins. And I think, I don't know the opinion, but I think they're good coins, and they should last long.
Okay, thank you. So, in case you're just joining us, this is a Bank of Zambia broadcast. We are discussing currency. If you have any questions for Mr. Patrick Phiri, you can leave a comment, and when we get to the Q&A section, we'll be able to get to your question. Patrick, maybe before we go to the other question, I just thought that maybe there's someone who has joined and they are not familiar with our material, our sensitization so far. Can you please just give us some pointers of how a person can identify a genuine banknote and coin?
Thank you very much, Tonga. For the banknotes, I'll just concentrate on the level 1 security features, just 2 of them. I will not go, maybe 2 or 3 of them. I'll talk about 2 or 3 of them, just for identification purposes. You don't have to look at all the security features for you to be convinced that this is a genuine banknote. Just a few of them, if you can master 2, you are well and good, well saved from counterfeiters. The first one I'll talk about is the thread. You may say, even in the old series, we had security threads in the banknotes. So what has changed? What upgrade is there? Well, the upgrade is in the security thread itself. All the security threads are something of new technology that has just come onto the market, and they emphasize on movement and color change. So when you have a banknote in your hands, try to tilt it. You should see some life in the security thread. Please see some life in the security thread. Why am I saying this? All the counterfeits, maybe apart from those I haven't come across yet, or we haven't examined here at Bank of Zambia, but all the counterfeits that are circulating out of there are just standard items. They are scanned copies of the banknotes. There are a lot of high-resolution scanners out there. So when they scan a banknote and you look at it from a distance, you'll be convinced that they've finally managed to counterfeit the Zambian kwacha. No one, and I put it to you, no one so far has managed to counterfeit this banknote. This banknote is high-tech, and you can mimic the security features, but you cannot have them exactly the way they were done. So in the thread, there should be movement at all times. You should see color change, and there should be some movement with the BoZ logo also showing there. So when the counterfeiters get a scanned copy is just an instant picture which will remain static. There will be no movement. The second part that you should look out for, just above the head of that flying fish eagle in front of the note, there's a part where there's a map of Zambia and some semblance of waterfall at the bottom.
Yes.
That part is a very expensive part of this banknote, which you won't see on many banknotes without mentioning any worldwide. That feature is a spark feature produced by a company in Switzerland called SIGPA, and it's very high-tech. Those are magnetic pigments which change in size and form when you tilt the banknote. You actually see in the 100 kwacha, like there's a flame going up and down. So if you're going to scan that banknote and the flame is up, it will remain up there, it won't come down.
It won't be dynamic.
It won't be dynamic, it will be still in one place. So look out for movement on the banknote. Tilt your banknotes. Feel your banknotes, like on the short edges, we've put various marks for the visually impaired. There are different patterns, but they are printed over and over the paper, on top of the paper. We have a term that we use, but I'll just say the ink is on top of the paper, such that if you run your fingers there, you'll be able to feel something. So those are the 3 I would, maybe I can also mention the security thread. There's been some misconception, which I should clearly state here, that some people have come up with banknotes and they've displayed them all over to say these banknotes are poor quality because the security thread on this banknote passes where it's written Bank of Zambia, it passes where the A is. On the other one, it's passing away from the A. On the other one, it's passing where the M is. So just know that all banknotes worldwide, that is the printing feature. The security thread has got what we call a wandering zone of 0, in our case is 0.6 millimeters. So in one banknote, it will be on the other side. On the other banknote, it will be on the other side.
So it's deliberate. It's not like...
It's deliberate. It's a printing technique because of the printing, the security thread is woven into the paper before the printing. So it's put into the paper when the papers are still sheets and piled up. If the security thread was to be in one place, then that would form a heap on that sheet, and it would not go properly into the machine as they're printing. So they tend to move the security thread around. So it's even in our technical specifications for the banknotes that it should wander, but it should not wander away. It can only wander by 0.6 millimeters away from the central point. So there's nothing wrong. If you want, pick any other currency, pick several denominations, put them across the table, and look at the security thread. In one comparison, you may find that ours looks like it moves a lot. The reason is that it's a smaller thread. It's 4 millimeters. In other jurisdictions, the currencies that you use sometimes, the threads are 5 millimeters. So they look like the wandering is less, but there is still that wandering zone. Yeah, so there's an allowance of 0.6 millimeters.
Okay. So from your explanation, and obviously even just from like all the sensitization, it's easy enough to identify a genuine banknote, and that in turn makes it easy to identify a counterfeit note. So in a situation where someone encounters a counterfeit banknote, what are they supposed to do? Okay.
First and foremost, the last holder of a counterfeit note is a loser of value. Let's be very clear about that. No one will refund you for having a counterfeit note. So if you bring a counterfeit note to Bank of Zambia, we won't give you value. We will simply get the counterfeit note from you so that it goes into our analysis room. We analyze what level these counterfeiters have reached, and we see how far they are from us. And our security wing, security here at Bank of Zambia, and other law enforcement agencies like the DEC and the police will also go in to start investigating and to find out what the source of these counterfeit notes is. If you have a counterfeit note, it's illegal for you to pass it on, because it's natural for someone to want to get rid of a counterfeit note by passing it on, by buying something so that it remains in the hands of somebody else. But if you are caught passing on a counterfeit note, then you're committing a crime.
And it won't matter that you also just received it, because now you are the one passing it on.
Once you identify it, take it to the police. If you are scared of taking it to the police, take it to your bank. Go to your commercial bank and say, because the commercial bank will help you ascertain whether it is indeed a counterfeit note. Because in some cases, you may find maybe this note was inadvertently washed and it looks like it's counterfeit, but you go to a bank, pass it through a machine because of the second level security features that are not visible to the eye that I mentioned earlier. The bank will be able to pass it in a machine and tell you, oh, actually, this is a genuine note. In that case, if they verify that it's a genuine note, they may even give you a better note and keep that one for depositing at Bank of Zambia. So don't pass a counterfeit. You come across a counterfeit, take it to a commercial bank near you, take it to any financial institution near you, and declare that I found this and it's a counterfeit. If you're near Bank of Zambia, bring it to us. Please, we're not going to get you arrested. Don't fear that once you bring a counterfeit note, then we'll get you arrested. We won't. The law enforcement agencies will do their own investigations later on. And in most cases, we've found where these counterfeits come from, and people are going through the court process. And even for the Heritage series, there are counterfeits. Counterfeits sometimes come even earlier than an emission, before you issue. Because we do sensitization before we issue banknotes. So as we are sensitizing the masses, in those groups of people who understand before, there is one counterfeiter there also listening. As we finish, he's going to get a poster, he's got tips, and they produce counterfeits. So simply stated, report any counterfeits. hand them over to the police or any law enforcement agencies and commercial banks.
Thank you very much. We have some questions which from the audience, which we are going to get into. And I can already see we have a question from Siyumbwa Muyunda talking about shortage of supply of 5 kwacha in neighborhoods. This has already been addressed. And then the security concerns with the initial rolled out notes. Are we to expect the same with the new notes rolled out 3 days ago, where the initial concerns and security incorporated in the just rolled out notes? This is from Nancy Bianca Mbewe, which is what you're just from speaking to as well.
Yeah, just to add on, the security features in the new banknotes, the entire family, top notch. They are not something that is can easily be counterfeited or can easily be reproduced. I'm very confident about that because even of the counterfeits that we have, very poor quality, and they are just scanned copies. If in any case, if we are going to have any counterfeit that is printed, I don't know where they would, counterfeiters are sophisticated anyway, but even the ink that has been used to print these banknotes is only supplied by one company in the world. The ink is not ordinary ink, that's magnetic ink supplied from Switzerland. So it's difficult for anyone to just come up with this banknote, a counterfeit that really is the same as our banknotes. Security that we have put there. So I've heard some people maybe thinking the security is compromised. The security is not less on this series compared to the previous series. It's more robust. Yeah, cutting technology has been used to make sure that this is the best protected banknote around here.
Thank you, Nancy Bianca Mbewe. I hope that reassures you. We'll get to more questions from the audience, but in the meantime, Patrick, I would like us to get to the other part of introduction of a new currency family, which is withdrawal of the old one. Can you tell us about that? How is it going? How has the bank been going about it? And for how long is it going on?
Okay, as announced at the launch of the series on the 31st of March by Governor, this series will run from 1st April up to, or is it from 31st March up to 31st March 2025 to 31st March 2026. So after 31st March 2026, the previous series will be demonetized. So it cannot be exchanged for value after 31st March 2026. So what is happening right now is that we are withdrawing. When you go to your commercial bank and you deposit cash of the old series, the commercial bank is not allowed to reissue that cash back into circulation. That cash has to be deposited here at the Bank of Zambia. Once it's deposited at the Bank of Zambia, it will undergo a process of processing, which we call processing. It will be counted note by note. And this should be a warning because we tend to see some people thinking that since this money is being withdrawn, when it's deposited here, we'll just destroy it. No, we'll count note by note. And once we are satisfied that your deposit is correct, then we'll destroy those banknotes. So all the banknotes from the old series, when they come to Bank of Zambia, they'll be destroyed after a process of counting note by note. This will go on up to end of March, 31st March 2026. So we urge you to just go to your nearest bank, your nearest NatSafe branch, and do the exchange of the banknotes of the current series that you are still holding before we reach the deadline of 31st March 2026.
Okay. Maybe I'll ask you to actually emphasize what it means. If you're keeping money in a bag somewhere 31st March 2026 comes, it will no longer be money. That's what it means, basically.
Exactly.
It will no longer be legal
It
tender.
will overnight turn into pieces of paper because it will have no value. It will be demonetized. So the bank and the country will stop recognizing those notes as legal tender. Yeah.
Okay. So how much has been withdrawn from circulation so far? Is that something you are able to share, or is it a security issue?
No, it's not a security issue. Actually, at the moment, as of 31st, as the end of August rather, we have withdrawn approximately 48% of the old series. So we are still remaining with about 52% out there. We have issued out into circulation about 13.9, let me just say 14 billion of the new heritage series. And we are still remaining with about 8 billion of the old series in circulation. So soon to be withdrawn. And I expect that this withdrawal process will now gain momentum because what was still circulating out there, which is the 100 and the 50, we now start withdrawing it. So we expect to move from that 48% withdrawal rate to more than close to 80% in the next month or so. Okay. So we've withdrawn quite a lot, but it's not enough. We'll still withdraw everything else in the few coming months. Yeah.
I think while we are on this same question of withdrawing, let me read a question from Jamie Katungu. Given that withdrawing old banknotes reduces money in circulation in the short run, how does the Bank of Zambia balance this process with its monetary policy objectives, such as price stability and financial inclusion, particularly ensuring that visually impaired persons are not disadvantaged in quickly adapting to the new notes? Maybe you can address the issue of, does withdrawing old banknotes actually cause circulation shortages?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. But the answer there is, remember, we are exchanging these banknotes at par, 1-to-1. So for every 500 kwacha or 500 kwacha notes withdrawn, there will be either one 500 kwacha note going, so the value remains the same. So as we are withdrawing, we are also injecting. So there are no imbalances. It's like, I don't know how I can put it, but there cannot be any imbalances because as we are withdrawing, we are also pumping in at the same rate, and the exchange is 1-to-1. So it has no effect on anything else. Everything, even the total currency in circulation, if it increases, it will be due to other factors. But it should remain the same because as you're withdrawing, you're also pumping in at the same time.
So there's no vacuum created. There's nothing
absolutely.
Like one morning you withdraw and you don't put new series
replacement,
or you just issue new series without exchanging. It doesn't happen like that.
No, it doesn't work that way. So it's correct. And the other part of the visually impaired not being disadvantaged, the associations will tell you that I have them at heart. Actually, I interact very well with our visually impaired, even all the associations. And we are working on some programs which have delayed a bit, but we are still going to have workshops. I think you've seen the visually impaired coming here. Yes. I've had workshops. We have had workshops with them. And that is before we came up with this series. And even now, it's an ongoing relationship so that we make sure that they're always with us as we are moving the country forward. So they are welcome at any time, and I think we are still talking to find ways of educating all the masses of the visually impaired on this new emission.
So I'll read some questions, but they have been covered, I would say. One question is from Anderson Tandy Jr. Why is the Zambian banknote not durable compared to these other international currency? I think you went to quite some length to explain
it's very durable. It's the environment in which it circulates. We must admit, sometimes our banknotes are treated to very harsh conditions. Imagine talking about durability. Then you get a banknote today, just a brand new banknote, and you are selling vegetables, and you put that banknote under the sack, and you're freshening up your vegetables with water on top, and the water is seeping onto the banknote. You wouldn't expect that banknote to look the same as a banknote in another country where the person who's selling is in a formal sector in a shop, and once he gets the banknote, he puts it in a till. At the end of the day, if you get the two banknotes and compare them, you're not comparing things that have gone through the same situations. The other one has gone through a very rough path. The other one has had it literally easy. So it's an environment in which they circulate. That brings me actually to the other issue that we've had, that the banknotes are getting dirty very quickly, especially the low-value 2 kwacha and 5 kwacha, which I've explained that they are sitting on very expensive and very deliberate, the 10 and the 20, very deliberate effort to make them last longer. But what is happening, because the colors have been brightened up, it's easy to spot dirt. So if I'm wearing something black and I put some dirt on it, it doesn't make it clean, because it will be looking still clean, but it doesn't make it clean. So, but if I'm wearing something white, any spot of any foreign material on it will be noticed from afar. But take serious notice of the mechanical strength of these two. Even if they may look a little bit dirty in the last 5 months that they've gone into circulation, but they still remain mechanically strong. And by the time we start withdrawing them, I think they would have already outlasted the period that the 2 kwacha and 5 kwacha used to spend in circulation.
Yeah. Okay, and there was another question from Nathan Gift Tembo asking about the motivation of making a big, heavy 5 kwacha coin and in plain silver, which I think
it's an expensive coin. It's not just plain silver. You know, these electroplated coins. So they have a 25. So there's silver there. It's just it's a silver coated steel base. So the silver is not cheap. So in case you think it's a cheap coin and it's very heavy, yes, it has to be different, because the coins also have to weigh different, so that even as you count them, you know, the way of counting coins, we put them on a scale. You put on a scale and you know these kilos amount to this much. So the 5 kwacha is heavier than the 2 kwacha. The 2 kwacha is heavier than the 1 kwacha, going down. So we had to make it a bit heavier, and it also has a lot of value. 5 kwacha is quite something, so it has to be heavy.
Okay. So I'll read a comment from Mudenda Siulikwa, who's basically agreeing on the issue of proper handling of currency. So Mudenda Siulikwa says, the level of people degrading the kwacha is too much. Please put some serious restrictions on it. Writing on the note, folding it carelessly is too much. The high value treatment we give on the dollar should be the same with kwacha, I submit.
Thank you, Mudenda. That is well put, and I totally agree with you. It's a matter of education. Again, we cannot fault our people and say things that are not right, but we can only educate. I think this is not a matter of policing. This is a matter where we should, of course, willful mutilation of currency by law is an offense.
It's an offense, yes.
It's an offense. If you're going to be putting graffiti on the currency and we find it's you go through the legal process. It's an offense. But the issue of how you put your money in your pocket, I will not police you to say, no, don't fold it like that. No. But I'll urge you not to fold it. This money is not printed here. The government, through the Bank of Zambia, spend a lot of money to print these banknotes. So it's up to you. As you destroy them, just know that we'll print some more. Instead of directing those resources to other needy areas, we'll be printing some more. We'll be printing more to replace those that you have destroyed. So just think twice about it and take care of the notes, handle them well, as Mdenda says.
And I think, yes, it's also important maybe to interrogate some of our cultural practices of you get a note, you crumple it, you tie it, kuchitenge, and so all of that does not help the durability.
Yeah, so it's a matter of education which we shall continue to appeal so that we can appeal to our colleagues out there to just handle the money with more care and with pride. Look, this note is beautiful. It's a business card for the country. Don't destroy it. If you look very carefully at it, and that should also bring me to the issue of the app. If it's not too early, if you go onto our app, which is called the Zambian Banknotes, you download that app and you read up on the features that we've included on these banknotes. You see the research that went, you see that people really researched for a long time to come up with this theme of flora and fauna, which is all-encompassing, and it covers the whole country. It's a journey through Zambia. It's not a journey through one part of Zambia. It's a journey through the whole country. You find something from some parts of the country, of all parts of the country. Something is there on that banknote if you examine it carefully. I can't go into details of those, but I urge people to download the app and read more about the features that have been included to tell the story of this banknote series.
That's true. So the app that Patrick is mentioning is available for on Android as well as Apple devices. There's a question from Freddy Kanyanta Mapipo. Looking at the one-to-one exchange of withdrawing and pumping in currency, how do you account for counterfeit currency of old banknotes and new banknotes in circulation? Doesn't this create an imbalance? I think the question here
brilliant, brilliant thinking. I like it. I like it. It's thinking broadly, outside the box. No, it doesn't. First of all, I mentioned that we've pumped in, for example, 13.9 billion of the heritage series into circulation. And there's still about 8.9 billion of the old series in circulation. So in total, we are counting that we have about 22 billion as our total currency in circulation. So it will not be difficult to calculate a percentage of that using the counterfeits from both series. But at the same time, we also do a ratio of the total counterfeit of the new series to the issued new series, the total that has been issued, and also another ratio of the old series counterfeits that have been seized to the total that is in circulation or the total that was in circulation at the time the counterfeits were seized. So there's no imbalance. We are doing it on the total and also individually on the two emissions. And let me tell you, since you mentioned counterfeit percentages, they're very low compared to what currency in circulation. You may find it's really a very small fraction. Yeah, but we do mind even one counterfeit banknotes gives us sleepless nights because we have to find the source and nip it in the bud.
We have two submissions by Yasser Arafat, and both of them are on the size of the notes, but I believe this was also explained in great detail on the necessity of the progressive sizing of the banknotes. So a question from Bonwell Magwaza. We were told to surrender old banknotes to commercial banks, but when we go to withdraw at the ATMs, we are again given back old banknotes. Why so? I wish he had mentioned the denominations, because I suspect it might be the 50 and 100.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it must be it must be the time when we were still issuing out, when we were still circulating the 50 and the 100 before we had them in circulation. So let's, you won't find this in any ATM. There will be no ATM that will give out the old series from 1st September. Maybe after 1st September, there were still some banknotes which were already loaded in ATMs, which crossed over to 1st September. So you could have gone to the ATM maybe at the wrong time, but by this time, there should be no ATM that is giving out the old series. All the old series banknotes are coming here for destruction.
There's a question from Peacemakers, which I know you already answered, but the question is that the shortage of 5 kwacha in circulation is really disadvantaging their business.
I hear you. I definitely hear you, and we are doing all we can to make sure that we have adequate numbers. We pump up the numbers of the 5 kwachas and the 2 kwachas in circulation.
Okay, so this is a comment from Gezile Mumbakasonde, who says, Mr. Phiri, we appreciate your simplicity in your explanations, and the new heritage features are highly appreciated.
Thank you very much, Gezile. Okay. Thank you.
So we're about to conclude our discussion. If you have any questions that you can still send in the next few minutes, we'll be able to answer that. If not, you can continue commenting on this thread, and then we will respond to you in written form. So Patrick, when you were explaining the features, we had a comment. Let me just find the name. We had a comment from Foster Majila, who said, can you hold a banknote? As you explained, hold up a banknote to demonstrate. So I don't know if you have a banknote on you. Or...
No, I don't have money.
Okay.
You can give me one.
Yes.
Yeah, so... So quickly, give me the 100. Maybe it's because of the light. Give me the 100. Okay. So for the 50 and the 100, what we are talking about, first of all, I must say these banknotes must have come from someone who had folded them very badly. What we are talking about, you can see that this banknote was crumpled, which is good in a way because that's the way they look in circulation. So when we talk about, for example, look at the watermark. There were also stories about the watermark. What is in the watermark? The watermark is found right in this area. And if you hold the banknote like this against light, you should be able to see the head of a fish eagle and another smaller head of a fish eagle and the denomination in the negative value, which is the white thing that you see, the white 100 that you see there. So this is another way you can tell whether a banknote is genuine or it's fake. One of the areas is by you looking at the watermark. And for the thread, a simple thing about the thread is that when you're looking at it, it looks like it's broken into 4 windows. But when you look against light, you actually see that it's actually weaved inside the knot, so it's one straight line. When you look at the threads on the 2 kwacha, on the 10 kwacha and 20 kwacha, be very careful that it may seem to only have 1 window, not these 4 windows that you are seeing here. The reason is part of the thread has been covered by that plastic fume I mentioned is in the middle of those 2 banknotes. So the thread may not appear the same. So be careful when you look at especially the 20 and the 10, because of the paper on which they are printed and the plastic fume that has been put in the middle, the thread will not look the same as it is on the other denominations, which are just paper-based. So you have to hold the banknote against light, and you see, when I say move the banknote and you see some movement, if you move the banknote at this angle, you can actually see that can you see them there?
Yes.
You can actually see that the thing's moving in there. There's like a light and the color is changing. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what I meant. So these are, and the flames right in this area of the banknote.
Yeah, maybe you can.
This part of the banknote where there's the map of Zambia and falls at the bottom. If you move this, it's very visible. you can actually see the flames going up and down. So this banknote, as I said, was battered, but I'm still able to see these movements clearly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have come to the end of our discussion. We have been talking to Mr. Patrick Phiri, who is the manager responsible for currency front office operations here at the Bank of Zambia. If you want to learn more about security features, about the withdrawal process, please visit our website, www.boz.zm. Visit our social media pages here on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. We are also on YouTube. And you can write to the bank, info@boz.zm. You can download the Zambian Banknotes app on Android and iOS. And yes, we are always happy to interact with you. So thank you very much, Patrick, for a very insightful discussion.
Thank you for having me, Olga. Thank you.
And bye to all of you. Do have a good day.
Bye-bye.